what really makes you a high value woman, right? Sorry, Rico, the word subjective does exist. You will never find a Chanel bag on sale. No. 3, 2, 1. I wish I had like a little soundboard. I actually do have one. Maybe bro, if I just start live DJing the sounds in the intro, that could be iconic. But hello, welcome back to the Ladies Always Win podcast. I'm your host, Miss Ladies Always Win herself. Look at me bringing back the old intro, and we're here. How are you? How are you doing? We upload this podcast every Wednesday if you're new. So I like for this to hit you in the middle of the week just to see, let's do a little check-in. Let's take a seat, take a breather. Let's see how we're doing. Let's see how we're feeling. How's the week been going? What are we going to change going forward? That kind of thing. But after we check in, shout out to you for being here. I like to just say thank you. If you have not called into the hotline, we do have a little hotline if you have questions, concerns. I haven't done a hotline episode yet. I'm going to have to check it and just kind of see what's going on there. But call in, ask questions. You can get advice. Honestly, it could be anything y'all want. TBH. Don't call in and say weird shit because then we'll just not put it in. But either way, and if you haven't left a review, feel free to do that. It really helps push the show to other people, to new listeners, and we want all of the ladies to win, okay? So if we want all the ladies to win, we got to get it to all the ladies. How do we get it to all the ladies? We leave reviews. Put in the little bot thing. But into the topic, okay? So this topic came about, which is what really makes you a high-value woman, right? How to actually be a high-value woman. So a little backstory on how I got this topic. I was recently on the 8 at the Table podcast. Shout out to them. There'll be some type of links if you want to go watch that. But a little tidbit that we were talking about on there was essentially what makes somebody high value, right? And the whole thing kind of came down to, are you considered high value if you just have the habits and you have the characteristics of a high value person? Or that's not enough, you have to actually be successful. And so the other person was kind of saying, just because you have these attributes of a high value person, that if you have not kind of checked it in and you're not successful, it doesn't count. And his main argument was that men needed to validate a high value woman. Again, if you want to go see it, go see it. But just to put it in a nutshell, one of his things that he considers to be a high-value woman is the ability to keep and get a high-value man. So if you haven't gotten a high-value man yet, that means that you're not even a high-value woman. And obviously, if you have a bit of common sense, you hearing that off the rip, you're going to understand how that doesn't make any kind of sense. But if you want to see, me just stare at him confused for 5 minutes straight, again, go watch that. But yeah, that was kind of his whole take, and it kind of just went back and forth. So I wanted to do a whole episode on my take on it, and then kind of giving you guys just some tips on how to actually become a high value person, because I was on the side, me and my guy Rome, shout out to Rome, we were on the side of, if you have the habits, then you are the person, right? And I feel like you shouldn't have to wait until you actually get the thing to be able to say, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm successful. You know what I mean? Because I feel like material things don't validate you. So if you're sitting there and you are being disciplined and you have a job and you're doing all of these different things, but you don't necessarily have the lifestyle that you want, I feel like you can still be considered high value working at McDonald's. You don't necessarily have to have that 7-figure job, because if you have the attributes and the traits and the habits working at McDonald's, you're probably not going to be working there long, right? It's just their phase of life. And I feel like I just feel like it's so toxic when people kind of feel like you have to wait to become the person. You're always the person. This dream version of you, this far away version of you, this high value version of you, you are them right now, currently, presently, at the weight that you are, the way that you look, with the money that you make. You are that person right now, today. Because what makes you that person is the habits that you have and the things that you believe about yourself and the people around you. That's all you are. You are your habits and what you believe. So if you have the habits of a high value person and you believe the thoughts of a high value person, just because your outside reality doesn't reflect that does not mean that you're not high value. And that's kind of was my whole argument. So to get into how to actually be high value, we have to go into the definition, which like we kind of talked about it again on the podcast. And essentially it's just, there's the twofold where I feel like high value is going to be very subjective. But again, this man he just didn't believe in the word subjective. Go watch the episode. Just go watch it. I believe that a high value person is subjective to you because your high value person, as to like what you would consider high value, is going to be based off of the characteristics that you deem to be valuable, right? So then there was the whole argument of, well, what does society just deem as valuable? So I still believe that it's based on you and the things that you would consider to be valuable. But I did kind of put together just some overarching things and themes that I feel like no matter what, if you have these things, to anybody, you're going to be high value. You know what I mean? Like everything can always be broken down to like the core bits and pieces. And so that's kind of what this list is going to do. But first and foremost, some kind of just like high value, just traits, right? Knowing how to make your own money, being self-sustainable, being kind, being a nice person. Because here's the thing, what makes something valuable is access, okay? When you don't have a lot of access to something, that is what makes it valuable. So when you think about these certain things, it's kind of like, if not a lot of people are doing it or able to do it, that's kind of what gives it that valuable. And being nice, being a kind person, being considerate. Everybody is an asshole nowadays. Nobody's nice. And just that alone, I would consider to be high value because it's like not everybody actually makes that a priority and an intention in their identity. I really like that because making kindness or just anything, making these things an intention in who you actually are, I'm going to see that in your life. I'm going to see that in the way that you live, the way that you talk to people, your job, just in the fruits of your life, quite literally. So I feel like there's a difference between just, like that doesn't matter, but it's like, when you're like intentionally doing that, you know what I mean? Anyway, I digress. So I have my notes. We all know. I was really thinking about getting like one of those teleprompter things because I'm like, I hate that I read off of a notebook, but I'm like, no, I like it. You know what I mean? We're old fashioned. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is I think I have 3. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know you want me. Hey, I know. What happened to Pitbull, bro? Isn't he supposed to be dropping music? All he does is just count in Spanish and then just talk about the universe and the world, which we love Pitbull. He's a moment. Anyway, yes, I have 3 things that I feel like are just the basic foundations, just ideas, principles, mindsets of how to actually become a high value woman. Again, it's really based off of what you deem to be high value, but these are just kind of my 3 ideas. And my goal is really just not to tell you that these are the things, these are what a high value woman is. No, just to maybe get you to think of some ideas of what your version of a high value woman is so that you can become her. Because maybe my high value woman isn't your high value woman, right? So my goal is just you'll hear these 3 kind of basic ideas and then maybe you'll agree with them or they'll give you just kind of like a landing pad and a foundation to come up with your own. So number 1 is to focus on yourself. Focus on you. Do not be worried about everybody else. Don't be doing that. Focus on building your dream life, building your dream body, building your bank account. Focus on you. Don't be worrying about the Joneses. Don't be keeping up with the Kardashians. No, the Kardashians are not paying your bills, okay? Therefore, your time, when you're putting your time, because time and currency, we are right now, right? Block talk is the whole thing. And the whole thing about block talk, which is just this trend on TikTok of people blocking celebrities, the whole thing with that is like, people don't realize that giving your attention to these celebrities, that is why they are rich, because attention is monetary and they're able to monetize our attention. But what people don't realize is that the same way that you give your attention to them and they make money off of it, if you put that attention on you, you can make money from it. I'm going to just let that sit there for a second because that's what happens when you focus on yourself. When you're not spending your time just doomlessly scrolling, watching, just numbing yourself watching TV, and you're putting that same energy into building a dream, into building a purpose, into building your life. Come on. That's when something happens. So that's the number 1 thing. Oh my God. I need some. Shout out to Prime. Shout out to quick Prime break. Ice Pop is probably one of my favorite flavors. Hold on. This really wasn't planned. My throat is just actually hella dry. And I was like, man, do I like get off camera to get a water? And then I looked and was like, oh. Wow. I don't know how they get it to taste like this. But yeah, I think focusing on yourself is going to help you become high value because you're just going to be building your own life. And when you start to spend time alone, you're going to start to value your time. When you start to spend a whole lot of time with yourself, you're going to realize how valuable your time is. And then you're not going to discount it to other people. The reason why girls are out here just giving away their time, to guys that just do not deserve it is because they don't realize how valuable it is, because they don't even spend time with themselves to just realize the things that are special about them. Like, you really have to be in solitude to start to appreciate these things about yourself and then to not want to give it away. And an example that I've used on the podcast before is you will never find a Chanel bag on sale, because Chanel has set the value of their bags. And if you don't have the money, then I guess you're not getting a Chanel bag, or you're going to go get a knockoff. Think about that. When you set your value, when you set the value of your time, your efforts, your energy, if somebody doesn't have the emotional intelligence, or they just don't have it, they don't have enough to afford that, right? That's cool. You're not going to come down to them. They're just going to go try to find a cheaper knockoff version of you. And they're not going to do it like you. They don't got your sauce. They're just going to be going around looking for you and other people, but they're not going to find it. They're not going to find it. They're not. And I feel like that's the whole thing. Chanel doesn't go on sale because they feel like if you don't have the money, then you're not our ideal customer. A Chanel store in a mall could be open and nobody can go in it for days. Literally for days. I promise you they're not going to start putting up 50% off sale signs, blowout sale. A Chanel store could be empty for days. They stand firm and they're just like, okay, cool. Because they know eventually one day someone's going to walk in there who $5,000 for a bag to them is nothing. They're not going to be sitting here putting up all these signs panicking because they know $5,000 to one person might be all the money that you have ever, right? But $5,000 to the other person is going to be nothing. And so it's about who are you after and what is your target, right? And so I feel like that's why they're able to stand 10 toes down. So when you're sitting here and you do have your standards, because there's so many girls who they have their standards and they stand firm, but then a little bit of time goes by and then they'll go on some dates and the dates won't go well. And all of a sudden they start putting up these 50% off signs on my standards. No. Put that away. I'm here to clean that up. Get that out of here. Throw it in a box. You have to just continue to stand firm until the right person comes along. Okay, I don't know how I went on a whole tangent about standards, but y'all know me. I stand so hard on standards. But yes, number one, focus on yourself. Number two, to be a high value woman, fix your mindset about everything. Okay, you need to deconstruct your belief system and then rebuild it. And the reason why this is so valuable is because so many people believe things, but they don't know why they believe it. And when you actually take the time to question every single thing that you believe about anything, about yourself, the world, certain people groups, money, whatever it is, and really think, why do I think that? Who told me that? Where did that come from in my childhood? And you start to question it, you then can decide, okay, I actually do agree with this and I don't. And you're not going to be in this brainwashed mindset of just you were told something. And when you actually know everything you believe and why you believe it, that is a different level of confidence. You want to talk about being high value? That's a kind of confidence that, again, it's translucent no matter what you do. Because again, high value is going to be subjective. But if you have that type of confidence, whether you're trying to be a CEO, whether you're trying to be just somebody's housewife and you want to have kids and that's whatever it is, if you have that kind of confidence in any situation, oh man, you're going to be somebody to mess with. But yeah, fix your mindset on everything. Know what you believe and why you believe it. And I'm telling you, that's a real short point. But number three, lastly, and I talk about this a lot on the podcast, but if you want to be a high value woman and you don't have this, I don't see how it's not happening or how it's happening for you. And that is discipline. Discipline will change your life. Because again, really being high value, or in the whole idea of being a high value woman is, how are you going to separate yourself from the rest? Discipline. Nobody has discipline. Our whole society, like everybody lacks it. And when you have discipline, number one, essentially it really just means that you trust yourself. Like a lot of people feel like having discipline is, oh, it means that I can live a really rigid life. No. Real discipline just means you trust you. You know that when you say you're going to do something, that you're actually going to do it. And so many people struggle with discipline because they actually don't trust themselves. You put yourself in a situation so many times that you knew wasn't safe for you and you did it anyway, and now you don't trust yourself. And now when you try to make a habit and you try to make a routine and you say, all right, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m., you know, in the back of your mind, it's like, girl, you didn't said that and you don't do it. And then it's like, you don't even trust your word, right? And imagine living a life where you can't trust your own world or your own word. How on earth could you then be giving your word to other people? That's how you end up creating these toxic dynamics. It's starting within yourself. You do not trust yourself. When you say something, you don't believe it. Then you go and tell other people you're going to do stuff. That just sounds like a recipe for disaster to me. I don't know, but that is the number one thing. Like if anyone ever asks me like, oh, how do you think you got all the things that you've, gotten, and how did you get followers, and how did you, get this, and how are you like living like, the life you always wanted? And I'm like, discipline. Motivation's cool. Vision is cool. There's a lot of other things, but the core of it is discipline, because I know that the reason why I'm living the life I'm living now is because there were seasons of discipline where no matter what, I was feeling like it. If I wasn't, I had discipline, and that was that. And I know that because I had those really concentrated seasons, that's why I'm able to live. That was like the seed that planted to the life that I live now. It's these really head down, focused, concentrated seasons of discipline. And I'm a Capricorn. I'm a naturally disciplined person. Honestly, I'm vegan. Like just I find comfort in structure. Okay. I'm lucky like that. And there's a lot of other people where if that's you, discipline might come easy for you, but then we have our own problems of perfectionism. But yes, those are my 3 things just to go and review how to be a high value woman. Number 1, focus on yourself. Don't be worrying about the Joneses. Focus on you, because when you focus on you, that's where the true value is. 2, fix your mindset about everything. And the key reason why I want to fix our mindset is because when you know why you believe what you believe, different level of confidence. And number 3 is discipline. Wow. Did y'all see the little notebook close? I'm self-conscious that my timer is going to go off and beep because I timed that real good. Oh my God. Come on, train. But to be honest, I be listening back to the episodes and I really don't hear the train. And I don't think you guys hear the train either. Nobody said anything. I feel like you guys are listening just like, she keeps talking about this train. But actually, no, I lied. I have heard the train. Anyway, that is what I have for you guys today. Again, being a high value woman, being a high value person in general, it is more so about the habits that you have versus the outcome. Okay, again, just to tie it back into 8 at the table. If you have those habits and you have that, you are that person today. And it is subjective. Sorry, Rico. The word subjective does exist. And that's what it is. Whatever your version, whatever skills, whatever things that you deem to be of value, do that. Become those things and have those things that you yourself find valuable. And then you're going to find it in other people. Period, point blank. And that's what I have for you guys. I will see you all next Wednesday. I love you so much and have a good rest of the week. And I'll see you on. It looks like I'm throwing up gang signs, but it's a W for Wednesday. All right, bye.